This film begins by showing a high school girl named Jongwoo who has a chubby body and considered as a lazy student to the extent of being a troublemaker, leading her to often become the target of bullying by her classmates. Nevertheless, Jongwoo remains enthusiastic about going to school to see her crush, who is her classmate named Gu Bei. Because Gu Bei is involved in the student council, Jongwoo, who wants to get closer to him, deliberately joins the student council election. Unfortunately, she has to compete with her beautiful and popular classmate named Zhou. When the day of reading the vision and mission statements of all the new student council candidates arrives, Yi appears confident and is able to deliver her vision and mission well. Meanwhile, when it's Jongwoo's turn, she just bows her head in shame and runs away after introducing herself. After the event, Yi and her friend named Ma Jiao eat together in the cafeteria while showing that Yi received the highest polling in the student council member election. At the same time, Jongwoo, who only got one vote, tries to ask her classmates in the cafeteria to vote for her, but they all refuse. Upon seeing this, Yi and Ma Jiao just smile and tease Jongwoo. In the midst of Jongwoo's effort to gain more votes, her friend named Jianming suddenly takes her bag and throws it up into a tree. This action attracts the attention of many students because Jianming says that if Jongwoo manages to retrieve the bag hanging from the tree branch, her classmates will give her their votes. For the sake of those votes, Jongwoo daringly climbs the tree to retrieve her bag, even though she ends up falling from the tree. With her effort, Jongwoo now ranks second and is almost surpassing Yi's vote count, making her upset. Ma Jiao, who knows about this, immediately devises a plan to bring down Jongwoo. She then falsely accuses Jongwoo of stealing her wallet, even though Ma Jiao intentionally placed her wallet in her bag. Knowing this, Jongwoo's homeroom teacher named Lin becomes angry and disqualifies Jongwoo from the student council election, even though she tries to explain that she is innocent. Because of that incident, Jongwoo chose to sit and ponder at the bus stop until nightfall when she met an old woman scavenger who spoke to her as if understanding the sadness she felt. Jongwoo felt frightened because the old woman in front of her seemed to be able to read her mind until the old woman suddenly moved her hands in front of her face. The next morning, Jongwoo's mother named Guanjin woke up her daughter to make sure she wouldn't be late for school. Quickly, Jongwoo got ready to leave and saw a bracelet lying on the table in her room, so she immediately put it on. Curious about the bracelet, Jongwoo pressed a button on it, causing the bracelet to emit blue light. She then left the room and looked for her mother, but Jongwoo couldn't find Guanjin, so she decided to go to school without saying goodbye to her mother. Shortly after, Jongwoo immediately rode her bike, and halfway there, she stopped in front of a food stall to buy snacks. Strangely, the stall was empty, and at the same time, she realized she hadn't seen anyone else besides herself. Jongwoo decided to continue her journey to school and hastily parked her bike until her skirt got caught and torn. After entering the school building, she also didn't find anyone except herself. Jongwoo then took the opportunity to scream and do things she couldn't do at school before. Upon seeing Ma Jiao's bike, Jongwoo intended to retaliate against her who had slandered her by pulling the bike and tying it up on the basketball hoop. Jongwoo also expressed her feelings for Gu Bei by writing on the school wall using paint she found. After feeling satisfied with various activities at school, Jongwoo rode her bike back to the food stall and ate some snacks there before finally returning home. Upon arriving home, she continued eating snacks until she fell asleep, inadvertently pressing the button on her bracelet again, which then emitted blue light once more. Not long after, Guanjin woke up Jongwoo, who was asleep, to hurry up for school. She then glanced at the clock in her room, showing 6:30 in the morning, so Jongwoo rushed to school. Passing by the food stall, Jongwoo saw the owner of the stall in confusion because some of the food he sold was missing. Feeling guilty for stealing food from the stall, Jongwoo chose to remain silent and continue her journey to school while pondering if all these events were just a coincidence. Upon arriving at school, Jongwoo was surprised to see Ma Jiao and her bike tied to the basketball pole. Seeing this, Jongwoo immediately checked the wall she had previously scribbled on, and unexpectedly, her writing was indeed there. Amidst the crowd of students, Jongwoo unconsciously found herself next to Gu Bei, who was curious about who liked him at school. Meanwhile, Jongwoo seemed incredulous about what had just happened to her, not realizing that Gu Bei was beside her and asked him to pinch her. Gu Bei fulfilled Jongwoo's request, finally realizing that her crush was the one who had pinched her. Feeling embarrassed in front of him, Jiangwu ran to her classroom until she saw her torn skirt, realizing that all the strange occurrences she had experienced earlier were not a dream. After returning from school, Jiangwu hurried home to tell her mother about it, but Guanjin didn't believe her and thought her daughter was sick. Jiangwu became upset and decided to enter her room, which turned out to be messy because of the old scavenger woman who had eaten all of her snacks. At that moment, Jiangwu was shocked and wondered how the old woman could enter her room. Hearing this, the old woman explained that the bracelet Jiangwu was wearing could help her stop time and make everyone disappear when she used the bracelet's power. However, the old woman reminded Jiangwu to remain true to herself while using the bracelet. The old woman also gave a spell so that the bracelet could only function for Jiangwu before disappearing. On another day, Jiangwu, still curious about the power of her magical bracelet, tried pressing its button in the midst of a crowd, making everyone around Jiangwu disappear. With the power of her bracelet, she could easily find Gu Bei's dorm room and enter his room, then write a self-introduction message under the named Pi. When time returned to normal, Gu Bei, who was in his room, was surprised to see Jiangwu's message because he hadn't seen anyone enter his room. Gu Bei began to read all the messages written by Jiangwu while scanning his gaze around every corner of the room to ensure that no strangers had entered his room. Finding no one, Gu Bei replied to Jiangwu's message, and from then on, they both exchanged messages, becoming quite close even though he didn't know who was sending him all the messages he received. At school, Lin scolded Jiangwu for not bringing her parents to school to discuss the wallet theft that she committed. Jiangwu then insisted that she was innocent and tried to convince them that many strange things were happening at school, so Ma Jiao's wallet might have been stolen by other entities at school. However, Lin said he didn't believe in mystical things and would only believe it if he suddenly moved to the toilet right now. With the help of her bracelet, Jiangwu managed to make her homeroom teacher suddenly move to the toilet, making him begin to believe in the mystical things at the school. After that incident, Lin, thinking that something mystical really happened at school, then asked Jiangwu's friends not to suspect her for Ma Jiao's wallet disappearance. Hearing that, Jiangwu felt relieved because her teacher took her side. In the principal's office, the school secretary named Wang reported to the principal about the progress of the mysterious cases at the school. In his report, Wang said he hadn't received any clues on how all these events could have happened, so he thought their school might be haunted. The principal, who didn't believe in mystical things, immediately handed over the school holiday schedule while asking Wang to distribute it to all the teachers who were teaching so they could announce it to the students. The principal also emphasized that everyone must adhere to the rules, including the students who would only get a one-day break for every semester. Wang then excused himself to distribute the schedule, and on the way, he crossed paths with Jiangwu, who intentionally bumped into him, causing the folder he was carrying to fall. Jiangwu apologized while gathering the scattered papers to read the rules. Upon learning that the students were only getting a one-day break, Jiangwu used the power of her bracelet to stop time and change the rule so that all students would have a 10-day break. After everything was done, Jiangwu restored the time and handed the new rule to Wang. Switching to the classroom, Lin, who was teaching, received a notice of the holiday that Lin had to announce to his students. Feeling strange about the rule, Lin then went out to ask Wang about it. Unexpectedly, other teachers also intended to do the same. But Wang, who didn't review the rule again, immediately asked all teachers to read it to the students. Lin finally read the rule, making all the students happy because they got quite a long break. On another occasion, Jiangwu watched a football match to see Gu Bei's performance on the field. Unfortunately, his team was far behind the opposing team, so Jiangwu decided to use her bracelet's power and help him. Gu Bei seemed happy after learning that his team won the match. After the match, Yi and Ma Jiao, who had been cheerleaders, were changing in the restroom while discussing her victory in becoming a student council member due to Ma Jiao's help, who had slandered Jiangwu. Unbeknownst to them, Jiangwu overheard their conversation, which made her angry and determined to seek revenge. Without hesitation, Jiangwu pressed the button on her bracelet again and put some of her friends' wallets into Ma Jiao's bag, causing her to be accused of theft by her friends. A few days later, the principal came to school and reprimanded the sleeping security guard. The security guard was shocked by the principal's arrival because the school was supposed to be on holiday that day. Upon hearing the security guard's confession, the angry principal then contacted Wang, who had just woken up, and ordered him to call all the students to come to school. As a result, All the students hurriedly came to school so they wouldn't be punished. That day, Gu Bei and Jiang Wu also exchanged messages again to discuss her help in his previous football match. Gu Bei thanked Jiang Wu for her assistance, as she had been a mysterious figure to him all along. As Jiang Wu passed by the school announcement board, she accidentally saw a photo of Gu Bei with the high-achieving students in their respective classes. Because Jiang Wu also wanted her photo displayed alongside Gu Bei, she used her bracelet's power to cheat during exams. With her cheating, her rank soared to first place, surpassing Gu Bei, who was now in second place. Unfortunately, this made Jiang Wu uncomfortable as many students, including Yi, were unhappy with her achievement. Meanwhile, Lin advised other students to ask Jiang Wu questions. When Yi entered the student council room, she was surprised to see Jiang Wu there. So Gu Bei, who was chatting with Jiang Wu, told her that Jiang Wu became a member of the student council upon the teacher's recommendation. Hearing this, Yi became even more upset with Jiang Wu, especially when she saw Gu Bei praising Jiang Wu's drawing ability. On another occasion, Jiang Wu, following Gu Bei to the library, secretly slipped a message between the books he was looking at. Gu Bei became more curious about the person claiming to be Pai and hoped they could meet. Jiang Wu then admitted she was just an ordinary girl who happened to have a magical bracelet. Not long after, a female student approached Gu Bei to ask about a problem she didn't understand, but since he also didn't know, he asked for Jiang Wu's help. Unable to refuse, Jiang Wu reluctantly used her bracelet to find the answer to the problem, then returned to the library and reversed time so she could explain it to the female student. After that, many students asked various questions to Jiang Wu, where she had to repeatedly use her bracelet to get the answers to all the questions asked on the teacher's desk, eventually leaving her exhausted. During the physical education class, the teacher asked the students to be willing to participate in a running race. Since no students were willing to join the race, Yi deliberately teased Jiang Wu by pretending to adjust her shoelaces while pushing her forward, causing Jiang Wu to be chosen to represent the class in the race. As the race began, Yi and Ma Jiao prepared to ridicule Jiang Wu, but with the power of her magical bracelet, Jiang Wu emerged as the winner of the race. After the race, Ma Jiao asked Yi to look at the peculiarities of Jiang Wu's photo they had taken, and they finally realized that her bracelet was no ordinary bracelet. On the other hand, Jiang Wu and Gu Bei resumed exchanging written messages until she finally agreed to meet Gu Bei after the school exams at a predetermined location. Jiang Wu then informed Gu Bei that she would be wearing white clothing so that he could easily recognize her. Upon arriving home, Jiang Wu, feeling insecure about meeting Gu Bei, tried on several white clothes she owned. Unfortunately, she didn't like any of them, so she broke her piggy bank to buy new clothes. Upon reaching a boutique, Jiang Wu tried on a beautiful white dress, but because the dress was too expensive, she secretly put it in her bag. Unfortunately, Jiang Wu, being careless, left one of her textbooks behind in the boutique. The next day, Yi and Ma Jiao seemed to have successfully stolen Jiang Wu's magical bracelet from her locker while she was changing clothes. Yi then tried to wear the bracelet and pressed its button, but nothing strange happened. On the other hand, Jiang Wu, in the locker room, looked puzzled because her magical bracelet had gone missing. At the same time, Yi went to an empty classroom and opened Jiang Wu's bag where she found the white dress and her book containing her secret conversations with Gu Bei. In the notes, Jiang Wu had written about the function of her magical bracelet, which could only be used by herself. Additionally, Yi also found out that Jiang Wu would wear the white dress when meeting Gu Bei at the agreed-upon location. Shortly after, Ma Jiao reminded Yi about Jiang Wu's imminent arrival, prompting her to quickly put the book and the white dress back into Jiang Wu's bag. Outside the classroom, Yi then threw the bracelet into the trash. Due to losing her magical bracelet, Jiang Wu had to cheat during exams, but her actions were discovered by the teacher, leading Jiang Wu to face her homeroom teacher. The school also called Jiang Wu's mother, so she was scolded by Guanjin, who came to the school. At the same time, the boutique owner entered the room to return Jiang Wu's forgotten book. Guanjin, realizing that Jiang Wu was frightened and hiding her bag after the boutique owner arrived, suddenly grabbed her bag and found the stolen white dress. The boutique owner appeared angry upon discovering that Jiang Wu had stolen items from her boutique. Similarly, Guanjin was furious and embarrassed by her daughter's behavior, even slapping her. Meanwhile, two students who accidentally overheard the incident in the teacher's room immediately spread the news about Jiangwu cheating and stealing to all students in the school. In no time, the news became a hot topic at school, while Jiangwu chose to leave the teacher's room crying. At that moment, she accidentally bumped into Gu Bei, who wanted to ask about the news concerning her, but Jiangwu ignored him and ran out of the school. Amidst her troubles, Jiangwu eventually found her magical bracelet again. However, she chose to hide in the abandoned warehouse and had no intention of returning home, even though Guanjin started to worry about Jiangwu and tried to find her whereabouts. At that time, Jiangwu once used the power of her magical bracelet to exchange messages with Gu Bei by asking whether he would forgive her if Jiangwu made a mistake. Gu Bei only replied that it depended on the mistake Jiangwu made. Nevertheless, he also said he was looking forward to meeting Jiangwu. When reminded of her promise with Gu Bei, Jiangwu immediately went to the meeting place where Yi unexpectedly arrived wearing a white dress and claiming to be Pai. Jiangwu felt annoyed with everything that had happened until she stole food from her mother's mini-market. But after seeing a note from Guanjin complaining about the many missing items in her mini-market, Jiangwu began to feel guilty and intended to earn money so she could pay for all the items she had stolen. Jiangwu then decided to become a scavenger and collect plastic waste that could be sold. A year later, while Jiangwu was searching for plastic trash when night fell, she saw someone approaching, so Jiangwu immediately used her magical bracelet to hide. Strangely, the bracelet did not work until she was surprised by the presence of an old woman, the owner of the magical bracelet. Jiangwu felt relieved and then told the old woman everything she had experienced over the past year and intended to return the bracelet to her. The old woman then advised her to go home and meet Guanjin, but Jiangwu refused, saying she had disappointed her mother too much. Jiangwu also felt that her school would not accept her back. The old woman said she could send Jiangwu back to the past, but she could not erase Jiangwu's mistakes, so she had to deal with the problem. After the old woman erased 2 lines from her book, Jiangwu successfully returned to a year earlier and met Guanjin, who was anxiously waiting for her daughter to return. When Jiangwu went to school, she was ostracized by her friends, and she even had to sit in the corner of the class because none of her friends wanted to talk to her. Jiangwu also received teasing, being called a pig, so she used her magical bracelet to stop time so she could exercise on the field. On another occasion, Jiangwu visited Gu Bei's room, where he had stuck all their conversations on the wall. From those notes, Jiangwu read that Gu Bei had known that Yi was only pretending to be Pai and still hoped to meet the real Pai. After that, Jiangwu replied to Gu Bei's message, saying that she wanted to correct the big mistake she had made in the past. Before leaving, Jiangwu seemed to leave her favorite doll on Gu Bei's study table. After returning from Gu Bei's place, Jiangwu went home and threw away snacks in her room. Since that day, Jiangwu always used her free time to exercise and study diligently until she managed to lose weight and could wear a white dress with more confidence. On another day, Jiangwu went to school cheerfully without realizing that some students were watching her and assuming that she was a new student. Gu Bei then informed them that the girl was Jiangwu. When the class began, Lin announced the exam scores of the students, and unexpectedly, Jiangwu got the highest rank in the school, which surprised her with the achievement she had accomplished. During break time, Gu Bei approached Jiangwu, who was walking in the school corridor, praising her changes while returning the doll she had left in his room. Jiangwu, feeling embarrassed, shook her head as if to say the doll wasn't hers, disappointing Gu Bei because all this time, he had thought Jiangwu was Pai. Seeing the sadness on Gu Bei's face, Jiangwu then wrote a letter to him and finally confessed that she was Pai. In her letter, Jiangwu initially didn't admit it because she didn't have the courage to confess it directly to him. Unfortunately, when Jiangwu was about to give him the letter, Gu Bei's room was empty, and she only found a note from Gu Bei apologizing to her because he had to leave and couldn't wait for her anymore. Without hesitation, Jiangwu returned to school and met Gu Bei's friend, who finally told her that he had gone to the station to return to his hometown. After hearing that Gu Bei's train would depart in 5 minutes, Jiangwu used her magical bracelet to stop time and hurriedly rode her bike to the station. Although she fell along the way, Jiangwu got back up and continued her journey by running. Upon arriving in front of the station, Jiangwu returned time to normal and searched for Gu Bei's whereabouts, who had already boarded the train. Just as the train was about to depart, Jiangwu managed to find Gu Bei to confess that she was Pai. Jiangwu even wrote some numerical codes to show her identity as Pai. Seeing this, Gu tried to decipher the numerical codes on the train as it moved away. After that, Jiangwu eventually just cried without knowing whether Gu had understood the numerical codes she had written or not. At the end of the movie, it shows the old woman persuading a young boy to go home. Shortly after, Jiangwu returned her magical bracelet to the old woman, saying that the bracelet needed a new owner. The old woman then smiled as she watched Jiangwu leave happily. Moral lesson from the story: if you ever find a magic bracelet, use it wisely. Because stopping time to cheat on exams might just make you the school's best student and the cafeteria's most wanted food thief.